Hey out there, everyone. Hope everyone's having a wonderful, blessed, joyful day and week. Hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday. So, I'll be talking about my power rankings after week 5 in this video. Hope everyone's safe and healthy out there. So, pretty much just gonna give my ranking, kind of too wide. It's not gonna take too long this week. Going from 32 all the way up to number 1. So, 32 and 31 was your winless teams. So again, this is not including any results from Thursday night, the Buccaneers beating the Eagles, or this morning with the Jaguars beat the Dolphins in London, and then any games that are going on right now Sunday. All right. So starting off, Jacksonville at 32, Detroit at 31. Detroit should have beat Minnesota, but they ended up losing due to the defense not being able to contain. So that's why I moved Detroit up 1 this week. 30-26 are your 1-4 teams after week 5. So I got New York Giants at 30, New York Jets at 29, Miami Dolphins at 28, Houston Texans at 27, Indianapolis Colts at 26. Reason I had Giants at 30, they suffered a lot of injuries, so going into week 6, I wasn't sure how healthy he was going to be. New York Jets came back in a game against the Atlanta Falcons. So first half they were not good, but they came back and made it a game in the second half. Miami Dolphins got beat up by Buccaneers, but they've had a pretty tough schedule and was competitive for the majority of their schedule. Houston Texans were up majority of the game against New England Patriots, but they gave up the game to the Patriots. So that's why I moved them up. Colts had controlled most of the game against the Baltimore Ravens before they lost to the Ravens in overtime. So they've been the most complete 1-4 team to me out of the bunch. 25-17 are your 2 and 3 teams. So 25 Minnesota Vikings, 24 San Francisco 49ers, 23 Atlanta Falcons, 22 New England Patriots, 21 Philadelphia Eagles, 20 Seattle Seahawks, 19 Washington Football Team, 18 Pittsburgh Steelers, and 17 Kansas City Chiefs. Minnesota should have lost to Detroit. San Francisco, they look very inconsistent against Arizona, though they made it a competitive game throughout defensively. Atlanta Falcons controlled the game against the New York Jets, where the New York Jets is a bad football team. They controlled the majority of the game before they let them come back in the second half. New England Patriots came back to beat the Houston Texans. So they came back and won that game. Sorry guys, forgot the football game going on. 21 Philadelphia Eagles came back and beat the Carolina Panthers. Defense played very well to have them come back and win that game. 20 Seattle Seahawks without Russell Wilson, that's why I dropped them down. And they also they were very competitive against the Los Angeles Rams. But I think the reason I dropped them more has to do with I don't expect Geno Smith to be as complementary with this offense as Russell Wilson was. Washington Football Team was competitive against New Orleans Saints, and turnovers late cost them that game, so I had them at 19. Pittsburgh Steelers dominated the game against the different Broncos before they let them come back and have a chance to tie that game before they sealed it for interception. Kansas City Chiefs, tough schedule. Still underperformed based on my expectations of how I thought they would be through 5 weeks, but they got dominated by the Buffalo Bills. But I still think they're the best of the 2 and 3 teams so far. 16 all the way to number, I think it was 9 are your 3 and 2 teams. Yeah. So Las Vegas Raiders are at 16. Chicago Bears at 15. Denver Broncos at 14. Carolina Panthers at 13. Tennessee Titans at 12. New Orleans Saints at 11. Cincinnati Bengals at 10. And Cleveland Browns at 9. Las Vegas had a lot of inner turmoil right now due to the situation that happened surrounding John Gruden. Whatever you want to say your opinions wise on it, it clearly has had an effect on the team. And they lost to the Chicago Bears, who I have above them. So do I believe they're better quality teams than Chicago Bears? They lost to Chicago Bears, so that's why Chicago Bears are above them. Denver came back against Pittsburgh Steelers, had them at 14. Carolina should have beaten the Philadelphia Eagles, so I had them at 13. Tennessee Titans looked inconsistent against their game against Jacksonville Jaguars, but they handled business. New Orleans Saints looked majority of the time good against the Washington Football Team, so that's why I had them 11, a little bit above Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans were still a little bit unhealthy. Julio Jones comes back this week, so they should be mostly at full health this week, week 6. Cincinnati Bengals surprisingly played very well against the Green Bay Packers. Lost some overtime in a game that they should have won, but their kicker couldn't make a field goal. And the day that game came out to which kicker made the field goal first at the end. So that's why I have them at 10. They've been shocking me and surprising to me. One of the surprise teams for me so far this season. Cleveland Browns at 9. Lost to Los Angeles Chargers in a very entertaining, high-scoring game. They were consistent for majority of the season. So that's why I think they're the best of the 3-2 teams so far. Going to our 4-1 teams, 8-2. Los Angeles Rams at 8. Dallas Cowboys at 7. Green Bay Packers at 6. Baltimore Ravens at 5. Los Angeles Chargers at 4. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3. And Buffalo Bills at 2. Los Angeles Rams, though it was a rival game, and I expect it to be a close game because they were playing a rival, they looked inconsistent at times against the Seattle Seahawks. Dallas Cowboys, until the second half, struggled a bit with the Giants in the second half. They ended up blowing them out. So that's why I held them back and kept them at 7 this week. Green Bay Packers looked good majority of the game and it was a very competitive, entertaining game with the Cincinnati Bengals, but they got the job done. So that's why I moved them down a bit this week. Baltimore Ravens struggled majority of the game against the Indianapolis Colts until the second half, and you got things going. Came back, won the game overtime. Hard for champion, but because he struggled mostly against the Colts, which I don't think is a terrible team. I just think had a tough schedule so far. I had to move them down because the team above them, Los Angeles Chargers, has been impressive throughout all 5 weeks. Even the loss to Dallas, they were impressive, and people could say that's a controversial loss based on some calls. They won a shutout. I mean, they won a high scoring game against the Cleveland Browns. Gotta give them credit. They played all tough teams and handled their business. So I had moved them up to 4 this week. Tampa Bay Buccaneers took care of business against Miami Dolphins in dominant fashion. Tom Brady's best game, stat-wise, of his career and of the season. Buffalo Bills beat the reigning AFC champions very convincingly. So that's why I have them at 2. Arizona Cardinals are undefeated. And, hey, you are what your record says you are. 5-0, though they looking consistent at times. You are still 5-0, only undefeated team left in the league. So those are my power rankings for the week. That's pretty much it. So with that being said, hope everyone continues to stay safe, healthy out there. Live your best life, joyful, blessed one, and wish you all the best. Keep doing good out in the world, guys, and that's my take on my power rankings after week 5. Peace.